Hello and welcome to Shift Change. We had a very big haul, but did not spend a very big amount of money. So I wanted to talk about what that looks like for us. There is a site that is local to us that is a donation store for all things crafting. That could be anything from duck canvas to embroidery floss to popsicle sticks and everything in between. This site uses all of its proceeds to go to charity. So when they have sales, we definitely want to be a part of them. The sale that we might have ended up going a little bit overboard on was this sale where for $26 you got to fill up a basket and anything that fit in that basket was yours. There was no additional amount. It was that set price of $26. And when we heard this, we were about that life. We were about that.
All of the stuff in this store is donated, so it has everything. And we like to use the things in the store to finish those projects that we're trying to find the perfect finishing touch, as well as decorating our house, because they have everything.
We love getting notions from this store because they are so affordable. And the first thing that we got were buttons, a lot of buttons. You're going to see a ton of buttons in that direction, I believe. I don't know, last time I said it was going to be in a general direction, that didn't happen. So, future Muse, good luck. No, but we got a lot of buttons because they are so useful. Why don't you jump into that?
Not only were the buttons affordable, but sometimes it's very difficult to find the perfect button for the project. Especially at these big box stores, they just don't have the buttons that you need for those specific projects. And this location has vintage buttons, beautiful vintage buttons, and tons of them. They came in full sets, or there was maybe 1 or 2 buttons missing, but you can still do a lot with 5 out of 6 buttons. So we made sure to grab all of them.
All of them.
Every one.
If you've ever looked up vintage or antique buttons on Etsy or any other site, eBay, wherever, you know that they can be very expensive. And sometimes it's not even close to a full set. It might be a button or 2 buttons. It's not a lot to work with, especially on bigger projects. The fact that they have full sets at an affordable price and it's actually going to a good cause is worth it for us. We always try to keep extra notions around the house because they're so useful, and especially on these bigger projects, you don't realize how many you need until you're in the thick of a project, and sometimes it's too late, especially if you're ordering off of eBay or Etsy or a private seller. So we like to have a little bit more than we would typically use because we can always find a project for them, especially with the baby. He usually doesn't take that many buttons. Usually.
We also got zippers. A lot of zippers. We specifically like using plastic zippers for the baby because as cute as a lot of buttons are, buttons can be a nightmare on a toddler. So we like to hide the zipper with a panel that has buttons on it. So it looks accurate, but we need those zippers.
Makes it so much easier. There were a lot of used metal zippers this time, and we definitely wanted to get them because they're so much more flexible than plastic zippers and a little bit more durable too. We used the metal zippers in a lot of our more modern projects like the Agatha dress, which you might not have seen because we did try to hide that as well. But they are quite useful and quite important. They're also important to have for some of the modern clothes that we have. If a zipper busts, we have something to replace it with that's sturdy. We also got a lot of lace. We got crocheted lace, synthetic lace, cotton lace, a lot of lace. And when I say crocheted lace, this was hand crocheted. So I'm really excited to get to use that for a project. Likely for the baby, it's not a lot. But still, we did get a lot of different types. We wanted to get so many different types of lace because lace is something that can add up very quickly when you are doing a project, especially if it is hand-done lace. It's beautiful, but very expensive.
There are so many things that we can use the lace for. Collars, cuffs, whole projects. There's always a need to use the lace, and we've kind of already dug into it a little bit. It's just so beautiful that I had to dig right in.
We're also thinking about using some of it for Edwardian looks and for a possible chemise a la reine. We'll see. We got a lot of lace. We have to use it.
They also had cast iron candlesticks, so we definitely took those because it helps set the scene and adds to that aesthetic.
We also saw this really adorable pumpkin pin cushion, and I had to get it. Currently, we store all of the pins in a jar, keeps it safe for the baby, but during a project, it's kind of a pain to open a jar and then put in a pin and then close a jar and then open the jar and then put in a pin and then close the jar. So I wanted to make sure we got something that was a little bit more user-friendly during actual sewing moments. We also saw these really great tin molds. I'm not really into making like old school jellos or anything like that, but I thought it would be a really fun decorative piece to have in the house, and they're beautiful. They are so beautiful. There is some tarnish on the inside, so if you do ever see us make a tuna jello mold, we're not going to eat it. It would not be food safe, but it's pretty.
This specific time we went to the sale, they had fancy dish sets, so we made sure to get those because we use these dishes to help establish some shots and give you some of those aesthetic food shots that we always go for.
We were really, really fortunate to find the silver pieces that we did. We did find a couple pieces of silverware that I did not include just because they're silverware. I think we've all seen what that looks like. But this silver serving platter shined so beautifully. It was actually kind of tricky to film because it was extremely reflective, and I cannot believe that we found this on sale at a swap meet, basically. It blew my mind.
As aesthetic and beautiful as these dishes are, and as much as we do use them in our YouTube videos, we definitely also use them just to eat dinner. We've kind of set up our entire house with the thought of YouTube in mind. When we moved to this house, we wanted everything to kind of fit the aesthetic of what we wanted for our YouTube channel so that we could bring a better viewing experience to you.
Our absolute favorite thing that we found was a Kenmore 12-stitch 1967 vintage sewing machine. It was a very, very lucky find. It has its original light bulb, it has its original pedal, and we were actually pretty nervous that we weren't going to be able to get it threaded, which you're about to see in a little bit. It is a lot different than modern machines, but the stitch work is absolutely beautiful. We weren't necessarily looking for a vintage sewing machine. They had quite a few. They had a couple modern machines as well, but this one really, really took us by surprise, and we absolutely fell in love with it. The modern machines looked great, but we have a modern machine, so there wasn't really a need for it. And there were some other vintage machines, but they didn't have a foot pedal, or they were missing a couple of key pieces like a foot to the machine, and we didn't know if we could source those items. It's extremely rare to find a completely put together vintage sewing machine at a swap meet sort of event, especially at this sort of swap meet event where everything is donated. So we were super excited that everything came with it and it was already in working order. We were very fortunate to find this machine in working order. It came with its own bobbin, although we did have to look up the original manual to make sure that we were threading the machine properly as well as threading the bobbin properly. Because this machine came with all of its original parts, it made it very easy to find the model number so that I could look up that instruction manual. And we wanted to make sure that we had that instruction manual if available, and thankfully it was, because we knew that it would be very, very easy to destroy this machine if we were not going to be taking proper care of it.
Thank you for visiting with us today. We don't typically do this type of video, so if you enjoyed, please be sure to comment down below. And if you have any questions, you can also ask below. You can also tell us what your favorite item was down below. Thank you for visiting, and we hope to see you again soon. Please like and subscribe to become part of our court.
Bye!